Happy New Year, Jorge, George Santos. Today with me on the show, we're talking about Seattle, and I have not a newcomer to our industry on the show. So today we discover his background, we will dive into Seattle, and we invite everybody to come to Seattle LocLunch if you can. George, nice to have you on the show. Thanks for being here. 2025, you are my inauguration guest. Tell me, what's your background? How did you stumble into the industry?
Thank you, and Happy New Year to everyone. I'll just start by explaining why my name is pronounced Jorge, because I'm originally from Portugal, where Jan is currently living, and so we pronounce the J like in English, so like John, Joseph, James, and so that's why I'm Jorge and I'm not Jorge. And fun fact, if you have any Brazilian friends, they will call me Jorge, because like we Portuguese, we kind of contract all the vowels. The Brazilians expand them a lot. So this is a very good example of imposter syndrome, because I shouldn't be the one here. Our main organizer, he couldn't be here because of confidentiality clauses in his contract. So I feel like an imposter because he does most of the work for the LocLunch in Seattle. But I'm happy to talk about the process over here in Seattle and what we've been doing. Just a little bit about myself. Like I said, I'm originally from Portugal. I have a background in engineering. I studied electronics, and last century I was looking for a job, and then I found an opportunity that seemed like it was tailored to me, because they wanted someone that had some linguistic skills, but also a technical background. And so I didn't know what was localization. To me, there was no localization industry. To me, it was just translation. But I applied, which at the time, like it feels very ancient now, because I was sending faxes back and forth and kind of doing interviews over the phone only. And so I thought, is this like an average prank from my friends? But then when I got the actual paper ticket, not the electronic, but the paper ticket in my hands, I was like, okay, so this feels real. And that's when I moved to Dublin, Ireland, and I stayed there for 4 years working for Microsoft, localizing the first version of Windows Server into Portuguese from Portugal, because there's a difference between Portuguese from Portugal and Portuguese from Brazil. And then I stayed there, worked as a localizer, software localization engineer, and then I moved to the Seattle area. I worked for Microsoft in Redmond, and I still live in Redmond, and I stayed in at Microsoft until 2015. Then my job got outsourced, and I've been kind of jumping around the industry. I'm currently working at Salesforce, and something that I also do, which I really like, is to teach the localization project management certificate at the University of Washington, which is a really good course that helps out a lot of people that want to progress or get into the industry. And yeah, that's just a little bit about myself.
This is your background. Yes, it's wonderful to have somebody like you on the show, because we have people who are just starting, and then people like you who have been here from the old days, from the fax days. I have to ask you, George, what makes you still you feel excitement about our industry? After so many years, what do you see right now? What keeps you like, wow, there's so much stuff to do still?
Yes. So when I started in the industry, I thought there were a little bit of technical challenges, for instance, separation of code and content and parsers and things like that. I thought there were some technical challenges that we were going through, because when I started, there was still a lot of manual processing and kind of bespoke automation for whoever was doing localization. So we had kind of we would call them software localization engineers, but they were more kind of automation or software development engineers working in localization. I thought we were going to get rid of those problems, and then it would just basically become translation. I was very wrong, because I think there's a lot of technical challenges that keep happening, and to be perfectly honest, I didn't think deeply enough about the amount of content that is available that can be localized. So what I think we've been seeing in the industry is that as we get more savings into one part of the content that we are localizing, we are using that budget to localize more and more content. So, initially, very few people were localizing blogs. Then we started localizing that. We weren't localizing audio. Now we are localizing audio. Video, we're localizing that. So there's a lot of content that still is available to localize. In my personal journey, I loved working in localization, but I always kind of had a little bit of that feeling, oh, the grass is greener on the other side. So kind of working more on the product side. And so I did try that back at Microsoft. So I work as a technical PM and as a release manager. But what I found is that I really love working in localization, because I think the internet removed a lot of barriers to accessing information, but language is still a barrier. So working to remove that barrier and providing access to information in other languages, it's something that aligns very well with my personal values. So that's why I keep going back to localization. And I really like the environment that we have in localization, because you have a lot of people that have very diverse backgrounds in academic terms. I've worked with people that I'm not sure if they finished high school, and I have worked with people that have PhDs, and I get to work with people from all over the world. And so even outside of work, just talking about culture, talking about music, talking about food, you learn a lot from people. And even traveling, you have, oh, I have that friend that I worked with at that project that they're now living in Rome, so let me get in touch with them and connect them. Or going to Barcelona, oh, I have this friend in Barcelona, so let me connect to them. So it's something that gives me a lot of professional and personal satisfaction. So that's why I keep working in localization. And at the UW, teaching the next generation of professionals is something that really gives me a lot of pleasure as well, because when I started off, you kind of got trained on the job. There wasn't a lot of places where you could get trained outside of the industry. So kind of watching the industry get more into a standardization level and kind of having that academic background, I think it's a natural evolution, similar to the software industry, where the first people that started programming, they were physicians, they were mathematicians, but now you can see that like you have people studying computer science. And so that's how I also see the industry evolving, is that you're going to see a lot more people studying localization in college and coming into the industry already with a very good background, instead of kind of coming from an adjacent field and getting those skills inside the industry.
Based on your background, which is corporate background, localization, project management, program management, and teacher, instructor, professor, what is the next barrier? What is the big challenge coming up for 2025?
For 2025, I think it's having a strategy around AI. I think sometimes in the industry, we go between extremes of like really embracing new technologies and then kind of resisting, because we took a long time to get to the process where we are, and we feel very confident in that process. But if we don't have a strategy, someone else inside the company or even outside of the company is going to come in and eat our lunch. So we need to have a strategy around AI and have a very good articulation of where it can be used or where it can be used, because if we don't do that, someone else will be doing that. And I think there's similar to machine translation in the past, where people would say, "Oh, why do we need professional translators? We can just go to Google and translate everything." We're kind of at that initial stage where a lot of people are saying, "Oh, we're just going to use AI. We're just going to use LLMs. We don't need to use localization. I'm just going to write a prompt and say to write this marketing document in Portuguese." And so we need to have use cases. We need to have proof of where it works and where it doesn't work, and how we get the human to verify that there is no hallucination. So I think that's going to be a continuation for 2025. I might be wrong, but I think 2026 is where we're really gonna see LLMs being used in production. I think the cases where I've seen good uses, it's more around testing. I think production is still a little bit far away, but like this industry is moving so fast, we don't really know when things are going to happen.
Absolutely. And this is also something that is discussed on the tables of a LocLunch in Seattle, I guess.
Yes. So our main leader, Sacco, he's the one that is really very good organizer. I was the main organizer for some time during the COVID time, because there was no one that could step up, and so I stepped up during that time, and I organized it for a while when we were doing virtual punches, and then I passed on the baton to Andres, but then Andres moved to sunny Palm Springs, but in the meantime he was working with Sacco, and Sacco really has taken a lead together with Danny, Jennifer, and now Hane. And so he's very organized, and he always set up. So we always know that it's the second Thursday of every month. So at the time that we are recording, we're going to have the next one on the 9th. I think this is going to be released after that, but people can come to the second Thursday on February. And then we also have some events that we are planning that are going to be maybe outside of the weekdays, because that's very good if you can program your week like that. But some people don't have the time to step out of work, or it's too far from them. And so we are also organizing some events around the weekends. We did one just for December, kind of taking advantage of Christmas, and we had a very good participation. And so we're trying to do that, and kind of expanding even a little bit more. We're thinking about maybe doing some brown bags, so that we can have more of a discussion, because Sacco is very good at welcoming everyone and kind of getting up a theme for people to talk. But sometimes if you're in an easy environment and you have a lot of people in a restaurant, it's hard for people to be heard. So kind of having that opportunity of a brown bag will also make it easier for people to hear what we are discussing and participate in those discussions. So I would, if you are located in Seattle, or if you are traveling to Seattle, look up LocLunch Seattle, and you can put it already on your calendar for the second Thursday of every month between 12 and 1. And something that we also do very well is that we rotate the location. So normally people talk about Seattle, and there's kind of what people call the east side, where there's a lot of technology companies, either headquarters or a really big office. So we kind of go around the city so that it's easier for people to attend, because depending on where you are working, or if you are working remotely, where your home is, it might be a difference between just taking 45 minutes for lunch, or having to take 1 hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on your travel.
There's some investment in time, right, to get there and so on. So somebody like you in your position on a client side, what do you get out of LocLunch? Why do you do it?
I love it, to be honest, and I think working remotely, it's also very helpful to kind of exchange ideas with your colleagues, and kind of meet up on old friends. I do it for the networking aspect. So some people do networking more on a transactional basis, like I need to sell something or I need a new job or something like that. So I'm going to go and see if there are more opportunities. I kind of take more of the long view of like, I want to go in, I want to meet people, I want to know what they are working on, kind of get new ideas, help people out if they need help. For instance, one of the LocLunches that I went, someone was thinking about opening up an office in Portugal, and so I said, "Oh, interesting. Let's talk about that." So I gave them, a few pointers. I put them in contact with the people that could help them out. To open an office in Portugal. So that's the part that I like about the exchange of ideas, being able to help people out. I really like that, and I always come up them energized because I meet new people. I find people that I've known for a while that I haven't met in a while, and so we kind of catch up on a personal level, and that exchange of ideas I think is really powerful.
A place of connection, definitely. George, thanks a lot for being here to spend some time with me on the show. This is a short period only we have, but this is our look inside the different LocLunches around the world. Today we have been with George and his team, Sako and the rest in Seattle. It was a pleasure to talk to you. And guys, if you are around, follow George on LinkedIn, Sako, and every second Thursday. Every second Thursday of the month, you will have a great meeting of minds and professionals in our industry. Thanks a lot, George, and have a wonderful start into 2025.
Thank you, Jan. Happy New Year, and I hope to see you in person at some point. If I go to LocLunch Lisbon, I'll be sure
we are expecting you here. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
Same to you over here.
Bye.